You're listening to the MLS Fantasy Insider, bringing you weekly tips, tricks, and advice for the official MLS Fantasy game. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our show tonight. Thank you, everyone who's joining us. The social has gone out on Twitter, also on Discord. So if you would be so kind, please do hit that share button. It helps us so much right there. So yeah, go ahead and do that. And yeah, if you're listening to us for the first time on YouTube, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Please do like and subscribe if you do like this content. We are doing what we can through all the personal and schedule and crazy things that happen in our lives to get this content out as much as we can. At least the podcast. Sometimes we have to compromise some on the posts that we do on the website, but we're trying to at least get the main stuff out each week. I will warn everyone listening right now, I might have to up and run out at least once. My kid, little baby Rue, is being an absolute terror. Not even 2 yet, but we are fully into those terrible 2s. So if I have to bounce, then of course I'll leave you in the hands of Blayne. Ashley is out today, as you may have seen. For those of you, I guess I posted this in a different Discord channel, not the main one. Ashley is out. It is her anniversary today. And wouldn't you know that that husband of hers forgot to check with me and Blayne to see if it was okay to book something for a Monday night. Jeez, fantasy scrub right there. Fantasy scrub to Spencer. But no, so all toddlers are terrible. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you. But we won't keep you all waiting too long. We were just doing our final checks with everything, so we are going to get started. Again, please do share the social. Appreciate that so much. And we're going to be talking about round 18. So good stuff. Look forward to seeing everybody's scores as well. So if you guys are ready, we'll get this started. Hello and welcome to the MLS Fantasy Insider, our preview of round 18 of the 2022 season. This episode is brought to you by the Landon Donovan MLS Fantasy Anniversary Resort, coming soon to San Jose. Actually brought to you by the amazing Patreon supporters of the MLS Fantasy Insider podcast. Without you guys, we couldn't keep this show possible, and I thank you so much every time and appreciate your support every day. Truly I do. I'm your host, Reid Connolly from MLSFantasyBoss.com, and tonight I'm joined by my partner in fantasy, Mr. Blayne Riffle. Ashley is actually out today celebrating her wedding anniversary with Spencer, who, like the scrub he was, forgot to check to see if there was going to be a double game week, and he made it so, and double booked on Monday. So she's out today, but we get it. We get it. In her place, though, one of our classic MLS Fantasy guests, Andrew Crollard. How are you doing tonight, guys?
I'm good.
I'm great. Had to make sure that we had some Sounders representation every single day.
Yeah, that's what happens. It seems like a lot of the core of the backup and guests tend to be very Seattle focused. So we've got to keep our green represented here. And you,
the good green, not that gross Portland green.
But no, we have you here. We've got a little bit of notes from Ashley as well. No picks, but. This is an interesting one, just in case you're for some reason just tuning in at the beginning and then have to go real quick. This is a double game week. The games start on Tuesday, so you're probably listening to it right now. You need to set your team with it, at least some players. We have games Tuesday, games Wednesday, and games on the weekend, so be sure to check your teams. Big double game week, and we're going to be jumping into that right now. But first, we're going to talk about how we did this past round. I'll start with Ashley. She got 90 points, tinkered with her defenders, and left 10 on the bench, and her Lucho captain sucked. That is pretty rough. Blayne, what about you?
Yeah, 94. Not terrible. I climbed in overall and FCL rankings off that. Not as good as I would have hoped for the way the round went. Took a few risks. I went with Ladero captain instead of Lucho, who I was talking about on the show, which saved me a few points. And then I gambled big time and left Arango 7 on the bench in favor of Savarino, which paid off. But my double Orlando midfield really let me down. So I feel like something better there would have helped. But overall, 94 is not bad. I think I won all but one of my head-to-heads.
Yeah, speaking of head-to-heads, you did beat me in our head-to-head, our little MLS Fantasy Insider derby right there. It was a lot closer before the point corrections. I ended up with 91, and I think you had 92 at that time, Blayne. I had one little snafu. You know what?
Yeah, something like that. Your snafu was the same as mine, though. I will say that.
Okay, with your defense with Glad.
Yeah, I had Glad and he didn't play.
Yeah, that was me as well. Getting some stuff done this weekend with the family. Missed that, and so pulled Rui Diaz off the bench for me. So I got 2 points. Got a few points for that, but I definitely would have swapped out for another defender option had that been the case. But still happy. 91. I think I also won almost all of my head-to-heads, and a very decent result with my captain. I went with Vela. Can you guys believe that? I had Vela and captained him. So technically he would not have been my best captain. It would have been, of course, Totti had I gone with that. But still, 10 points was solid. He was the easy number 2 since I had Ruan and Wagner on the bench right there. So I wouldn't have had that as an option. And I had Philly down there just because I was just gambling with that. So and it worked out for me. But 91, pretty pleased with that. What about you, Andrew?
I hit the century mark exactly.
Boom!
On the button. Yeah, even with the terrible Lucho cap, I managed to get some big scores from some of my less chalky picks with Ruan and Osorio. And then the typical guys that were in just about everybody's lineup with like Wagner and Vela, given the scores that we all want to see and why they're in everybody's lineup all the time.
Yep.
So I'll take 100. Took all my head-to-heads. So good week.
There you go. Yeah, definitely a solid week if you got triple digits. A lot of great scores in chat as well. Mid to upper 80s, low to mid 90s. Tyler, who does our differentials, 96. Wishes he had gone with his Bedoya differential this week. Yeah, a lot. I almost went with that. Just like, hey, I want to throw in something for Tyler. Did not end up going with Bedoya because I just didn't trust the Philly defense. We'll see what we think about Philly offense. Sorry, I didn't trust the Philly offense. We'll see what we think about the Philly offense, though, as we talk more about players later on this show. But yeah, a lot of great scores. You guys did great. If you got in the 90-point range, depending on where you're at overall, you probably saw some positive gain. You may have even been able to inch into some of the lower Champions League spots. But if you hit maybe in the 80s, it was more competitive. But yeah, a lot of 80s and 90s, so good, solid scores. Let's talk about takeaways that we had, our takearoos from the fantasy side. Ashley sent over a couple, and she just wanted to reiterate, what did she say about that Seattle-Portland games? What did she say? And she was correct right there. And then also she says, holy Philly attack finally coming alive. Also, Rooney potentially coming to DC may fix that up. Yeah, the Philly attack, I don't know. We can see what that's going to bring for us in the future. Do you guys have any just quick takeaways for Philly? I think that's probably the biggest fantasy team to focus on moving into this next round, especially with their double. Andrew, what about you?
Yeah, I think that was a lot more to do with DC just not giving a crap. Once they gave up 1 or 2, their defenders just looked awful. They had 2 first half subs, like they were just done, and it was so bad that coach got fired. Wayne Rooney, he was at the game and he watched how much of a dumpster fire that was, and he still decided, you know what, I'm in. This is my project now. So, I mean, watch out. I think he's going to start whipping people into shape. He's got the street cred for it for sure. So, I'm hoping that was more to do with DC's terribleness on the day. So, hoping to see Wayne bring him up to respectability at least.
Blayne, anything to add?
No, I was shocked by that score, but I know midweek news last week was Sergio Santos was traded to Cincinnati.
Yep.
And right after he's gone, everybody comes alive. I know a lot of the players were upset by that transfer. They didn't want to see him leave. But when a guy like that can be out, you never know what fire that's going to light under everybody else. And Carranza came in as the regular forward and got it done. Uri got 2 goals as well. Gazdag got involved. I mean, everybody was playing. Sometimes a little bit of shakeup in the locker room can jar something loose. I really feel like that was mostly DC. But if whatever shakeup's going on in Philly is working right now, that's a team to watch out for because they got a lot of solid players that if they can put it together like that, they can do that to a lot of teams right now.
Yeah, I think those are the key takeaways. We'll talk more about Philly in our picks section. I also just want to put a quick comment about another big one was Atlanta. Big failure coming in. Atlanta is another double game week team on a double home. People may be keeping an eye on them. I don't know. Definitely, there's a lot of turmoil in that locker room. There's a lot of just high emotions right there, a lot of implosion. And so that's a team that I'm going to be just an early takeaway is, be careful about looking at that, because sometimes people think that passion turns into sort of production in future rounds, especially with the double game week. But be careful, because there's a deeper issue with Atlanta that needs to be addressed. That Joseph did a good job alluding to, and Doyle mentioned some in one of his latest articles that gets into it a little bit more as well. So there's some deeper issues there to go into that. Let's see. I guess I gotta say those dirty New York Red Bulls as well. That's just since grumble all that. But Blayne, what are your takeaways?
Yeah, this was just a rough week for midfielders. Ladero underperformed for what we would have hoped. Lucho was just awful. I mean, picked up that red card too. You never want to see a 2 in your midfield. I mean, midfielders across the board I didn't see the scores I wanted. A couple of guys had some decent ones, but you've got a bunch of guys that we haven't been picking up all season long, or not regularly. I mean, congrats to Andrew for picking up Osorio. That's huge on a week. I mean, he makes the dream team, but it was a bad week, but forwards were on it. I mean,
yep.
Tati got his 16. I picked. Quiet, yeah, Carranza, I mean, had the hat trick. Uri for Philly went big. Severino got me a 9. Vela got a 10. Forwards were all over the place and gave you those consistent scores. And it's a trend I've been seeing for a couple of weeks now. The reliable forwards are starting to hit bigger more consistently. And we love to pick our midfielders who are hitting consistently. But right now you've got forwards and potentially 3 to 4 forwards that you could rely on week in and week out to go with. Sorry, I have got a little one on my arm. But yeah, the forwards are starting to hit more. Stop. Sorry, everybody. My thing is forwards are hitting consistently, so watch those big names, and it might be time to start thinking about the 3-4-3 a lot more consistently instead of scrubbing forwards like we have a lot this season.
Andrew, what about you?
Mine is more of a take forward instead of take away. If you were watching the games this weekend, all of the announcers were talking about all the big signings that are coming into the league, and that's going to shake some teams up. Who's taking set pieces, maybe some positioning for some players is going to change. So this weekend and next weekend, or I guess midweekend and this weekend, are ones to kind of pay a bit more attention to if you can, especially on some of those teams that had some of those big signings come in, because some of the roles and responsibilities are going to change. So maybe a guy that was on set pieces is now no longer on them, and there goes his bonus point potential. And just keep an eye on some of those big names, and if they're taking over some of the set piece duties or knocking one of your favorite go-to guys out of their main position they have been playing.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a benefit that happened for Osorio this week, and we saw Chucho over there at Columbus had got some time and got a goal, so that's one we mentioned last week. And then, of course, I mean, the big one that's going to be coming, people keep talking about Bale, so yeah, that is definitely something to keep an eye out, because they are coming. They are coming, and they've been acquired to be impact players, and so that's something that we have to respect as a fantasy. Will they be a Ladero? I don't know about that. But that's exactly what they have been brought in to do, and we'll see what happens. So yeah, good note. All right. No additional comments from chat. So those are our takeaways. Trying to save a good amount of time because we do have a big double game week. Again, if you haven't already noticed, big double game week coming up. But first, we're going to talk about housekeeping in our next segment. Okay. Yep. There we go. the socials working right there. Let's see here. There we go. Make that a little bit easier. All right. All right, let's jump into housekeeping for round 18. A quick league update first with our Pro Rel project, which is just fantastic. I hope a lot of you all I want to say I hope all of you all stay around, but I know those who are in our Pro Rel League waiting list are hoping that all of you don't stay around, but I hope everyone's having as much fun as I am with this. So first, with our Champions League update, Todd Modisette back on top with a record of 13-1-3, but still that's a tie for first by his results, and he is back on top by points. So a tough battle continues right there in the Champions League. Blayne, what about the Veterans League? Oh, no, wait. Sorry, Ashley has that. Ashley has the update. You what?
She put it in.
She did put it in, yes. There is a new leader alert for our Veterans League, and that is Blake's Flames with a record of 13-1-3. So the same record as Todd and Donuts up there. Now, Blayne, the Development League.
Yeah, FC Red Bull Green Mountain is still on top. We're down to 3 teams at that 15-0-2 mark. I actually knocked off my buddy Jordy for MVP to knock him out of that top spot this week.
Oh, snap.
I kind of feel bad for taking that one from him. But yeah, it's a tight race still at the top, but Red Bull Green Mountain's still just hanging on there all season long.
And Andrew added this one, so I'll let you, if you want to get the details about the Champions League qualification bug.
Yeah, so I was curious seeing some of the big names from the last couple of years, big name managers that are often in the top 10. I noticed they were still in the Champions League qualification rankings. And somebody, I think it might have been Ranch, who mentioned it to Skylar. And Skylar said, yeah, we're aware that some of the people who qualified last round for Champions League are still being in the rankings for this round. And Skylar said that the development team is working on that on the back end of it. So congratulations, everybody. You're doing better than you think.
That is the way to be. That's the glass half full right there. This is the last round of the third quarter qualifier for the Champions League. There we go. It's kind of a mouthful right there. This is the last round. The fourth qualifying round for the Champions League will be the fourth and final qualifying round will be rounds 19 through 24. So again, you're shooting for top 50 from rounds 19 through 24. And if you make it, you will be in the Fantasy Champions League, which will take us to the end of the season right there. Top 200 players from these 4 chunks are who are going to battle it out for additional MLS Fantasy prizes. Okay, moving on to the actual round 18 information. Everything starts Tuesday, July 12th at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Austin versus Houston. Again, that is today if you're listening to this on the podcast, or right tomorrow, yesterday, whatever it is, not now if you're listening to it live here on YouTube. But yeah, everything starts on Tuesday this week. After Tuesday, because this is a double game week, so things get a little congested, but we have Austin and Houston playing on Tuesday, and then we have a whole bunch of teams playing on Wednesday, and then we have a little bit of a break, and we have Saturday and Sunday games once again. So everything is spread out over a lot of days this week, so be sure you have your lineup set, be sure you have your auto ruse set, or switcheroos if you are so brave to do that with this round. We've got the teams broken down for you if you are trying to identify which double homes or switch teams you want to go with. The double home teams are Chicago, Miami, Nashville, Colorado, FC Dallas, Atlanta, and Minnesota. The double away teams are Seattle, Vancouver, Toronto, Houston, Sporting Kansas City, New York City FC, and Orlando. And then the teams who are splitting one home and one away are San Jose, FC Cincinnati, Austin, Columbus, LA Galaxy, Philadelphia, DC, and Real Salt Lake. Everybody else is on a single game week, and nobody is on a bye this week. So if you're going to look for teams to do switcheroos, Portland is an option. If you're looking for that single game week, they're playing the very last round. They've got some cheap players that you can easily work into your team. If you don't want to look at Portland, or you're afraid that one of their players might play, who knows what you're thinking. New England's got some options. Any of those single game week teams have options you can go with, and you can use whatever strategy you prefer, early games or later games, whatever is going to let you be able to see that roster, just to make sure that someone hasn't snuck in there thanks to an injury or a card or something like that. But you definitely do have some cheap options available to you for this round. That being said, there have been several cards and accumulations and warnings from last week that you want to be aware of when you are picking your teams. And thanks to Ranchinator for getting that for us, Tyler. And Blayne, can you give us the update?
Yeah, and right before I give you the update, Ranch does this mega reference, and we really appreciate all the work he puts into this and getting this ready for us each week. But on a week like this, the mega reference also has a known scrubs list that are safe to play, including guys that have transferred to USL or out of the league or season-ending injuries, just guys we 100% know will not play. So if you're looking for those and don't want to get blown up by whatever this week, go check out the mega reference for that. It'll also be updated throughout the week as more injuries get added.
And Blayne, where can we find that mega reference?
That's in the Discord, and it's pinned at the top, or just ask somebody where the mega reference is, and they will help you find it.
There we go. Easiest way to get there, MLSFantasyBoss.com/Discord.
Yeah, so some interesting ones out here. We've got two guys that have come onto the field for the first time. Parada for Atlanta was a sub debut, and then Cucho Hernandez at Columbus scored on his debut, which is always big when Columbus starts finding a striker that can score. The list of red cards and accumulation suspensions is crazy this week. Andrew Farrell for Revolution picked up a red card. Tati's going to be out the first game for yellow card accumulation. Reagan for Seattle. Williamson for Portland. Edwards for Red Bulls. Cruz and Lucho for Cincy are going to miss that first game. Espinoza for Kansas City. Mensa for Columbus. Jimenez for Chicago, as well as Miguel Navarro. Let's see. Cervania and Quignon, whatever, for Dallas are both out. And Farfan is out for Dallas for that first game. So that's 3 Dallas players right there. And Araujo for Atlanta is also out. And then injury-wise, we've got some other ones to worry about here. Brad Smith for DCU is done for the season with an ACL tear. Maxi Morales came out at 45 minutes, listed as an injury at the moment. Caruso for Charlotte's out. Anderson Julio for RSL, and I'm hearing he may have been that he wasn't transferred. Everton Luiz was transferred away today. So there's 2 guys. Kubas for Vancouver been strong new signing. He's going to be out. Masovsky for LAFC re-injured, whatever he's got going on. And then Nasabalang or whatever for Dallas, the new striker, one of their young strikers, he's a 4-0. He's listed with an injury as well. So that's 4 players on Dallas that are going to be out for this game for sure. And then yellow cards to watch, some names we like. Derek Williams for the Galaxy, Lude for Minnesota is there. Callens is on yellow card watch, along with Kai Wagner. So that's 2 of our regular defenders that are listed. Nuhu for Seattle, Johnny Russell for Sporting, Pablo Ruiz for RSL, and Osorio for TFC. If they pick up a yellow in their first game of the week, they will miss the second half of the double game week. And that's our list. Thank you, Tyler, for getting that to us.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's a great update. Again, as we already said, you can catch the mega reference at the MLS Fantasy Boss Discord. It is got a lot of people who contribute to it, and if you want to contribute as well, you can go over there, always at mega reference. You can get some people involved. But yeah, MLSFantasyBoss.com/Discord. It's the easiest way. Just click on the link and you'll go right to Discord. It's free, it's fun, it's mega. I don't know. I was giving that a shot, see how that worked, but let me know. Let me know how that worked.
7 out of 10.
There we go. 7 out of 10. Might do it again. We'll find out. So, all right, guys. Thank you so much for that update. And next, we're going to move on to our third segment, our player targets for round 18. Doing really well. Smooth. social. Okay. Here we go, right here. Yeah, I got this coconut pineapple sparkling ice. Taste kind of like medicine, but I drank it anyway. I don't know. All right, here we go. All right, let's talk about player targets for round 18, starting as always with keepers and defenders. Andrew, who are you looking at?
All right, so we've got that Austin game that is going to be everybody's main target for their bench plays this week for their switcheroos. I think Stuver is far and away the best goalkeeper option for the bench. That said, I'm not going to take him. Here's why.
And why is that?
Goalkeepers are such low variance between them that with the bench play, you want to take somebody that is high variance. Since you can only take 3 players from a team, I want to take 3 Austin field players. So that means not able to take Stuver as much as I think he's probably the best in a vacuum goalkeeper. So I'm instead going to look at the realistically only other option to have a switcheroo. And I'm going to take whoever's the starting keeper for Atlanta. And if they keep that clean sheet, I'm going to scrub out Yarbrough, who is my backup option if Atlanta doesn't keep that early clean sheet on Wednesday.
All right. And what about defenders?
Defenders, I'm looking at 2 defenders from Austin. Get that high variance in there. Cascante and Gabrielson. With Kai Wagner on the yellow card watch, I think I'm going to skip him this week and going to go with a different one and go with Elliott. Also looking at Abubakar from Colorado. I like their chances at least 1 clean sheet this week, and potentially Chichos from Chicago.
Oh, nice.
So with the way you said that, do you have your Austin defenders on the bench?
Yes.
Okay. Interesting.
Why is that?
I'm just of the philosophy that you pick 3 double game week defenders and run with them, and you never try to get cheeky with defenders. You always take somebody who's got more variance up front, and you let your bench plays auto-rue it out and see who comes in, but you just pick your best defenders you've got available and run with them for the double. It's an interesting take. I hadn't really looked at Austin defenders. Now I may have to look at Austin defenders a little bit more, but I'm still starting 3 defenders.
Understandable. Well, as for me, I have looked at Austin defenders, and I also have Gabrielson on my bench. So I have that. Haven't gone with the double. I do have Wagner on my team right now. I am concerned about the yellow cards. So I basically just threw this one together with some kind of chalky. Going to see what I would think about it. But I am concerned about that yellow because it's a defender. It's away. Miami. It could get kind of choppy. So I do have some concerns about that. I was really interested in Minnesota, just mostly for some potential bonus points that could happen against Sporting Kansas City and DC, and had a little bit of a budget option right here. I have Lawrence on my team right now. A little bit maybe ran should put that in your differentials article or something. But I also have Abubakar as well because I do like his bonus points. He has some good bonus point production, and both those home games, Orlando, LA, I think he'll have some good opportunities as well. So a little bit of overlap. But no, that double Austin, that's interesting. That's very interesting. Blayne, who do you have if you're not looking at these Austin players? Who are you looking at?
Yeah, I'm seeing it in chat too. I've got the chalk Stuver to Blake for my keeperoo. Stuver, if he really goes off in that first game, I may think about dropping Blake out just because Blake's got that first road game, and second one's not the greatest. I mean, it's hosting New England. New England does put up goals. Like it's the best of what you've got there. I'm deciding what I want to do with that, but that's kind of the chalk pick, so I ran with it. And Blake has done me well lately. Defender-wise, I'm a little all over the place. I threw Wagner in there to begin with, but that was before I saw the yellow card accumulation. So I'm torn between trying to go to Elliott on that one, and then I've got Abubakar starting as just double home. He's putting up the numbers. He's a goal
Yeah.
threat. I don't trust either Orlando or LA really on the defensive side right at the moment. I know Orlando just came off of a solid game, but it wasn't what it was Miami. Like Abubakar is a set piece monster, and I think he's got the potential in both of these. And I'm looking at RSL again. I missed with Glad last week, but Herrera or Brody, whoever starts that first game, I could definitely see going with. And then I don't know. It's just I haven't done it all year. I think I might have to pick up Zimmerman just because he's got the double home. I know that's not the greatest of matchups, but I guess I forgot it in the injury thing. Rui Diaz was listed as out for the first game. He's not going to travel. So you've got Nashville hosting Seattle without Rui Diaz. That helps a little bit. It's just Zimmerman gets the bonus points. These are two teams that are going to attack into him. I can see that one. And it's a double home. And really, for double home, Colorado and Nashville are the only two I kind of even like on defense. I don't trust any of the others. They've been leaking goals pretty consistently. Maybe Chicago, but I just don't trust Chicago enough. Every time I take them, they burn me. And it's Seattle, hopefully with Rui Diaz back, and Toronto in that first game. Those are two teams that can score. So I struggled there. So I'm just looking pretty chalk, grab my bonus point producers. I think Abubakar is going to be chalk. RSL will probably be a little bit of a chalky pick. Atlanta's not playing well, and Sporting struggles to score at times. So I think I'm going to risk it. And then the only question is, do I do Wagner or Elliott, or do I try my luck with Zimmerman in that spot?
I realized I forgot to mention goalkeepers. I am pretty much running Blake almost like a solo this week. Didn't really want to fool with the keeperoos. I do have Portland's goalkeeper as my backup, just because he'll play. He's a single game week. He's last. He got a clean sheet last week against Seattle, so maybe he's feeling good. And it's Vancouver's second game, so I mean, I figured that's if Blake doesn't do well, it's worth a shot and just see what happens. But yeah, that's my keeper lineup right there. Go over the chat. Pretty much the same. Not much difference from what we've seen. Like a little bit. Gene likes some of the Nashville guys as well, Blayne. But yeah, Blake Stuver seems pretty common right there. And yeah, I think Abubakar may be pretty chalky this week. Let's move on to our midfield. Blayne, who do you like?
Yeah, this was a little easier this week. Once I saw the suspensions, it kind of made my mind up. Gonna go start with Mukhtar on a double home. Obvious pickup there. Zellerion's looking better now that he's healthy. I like the production I'm seeing playing DC after that horrible weekend they had. And then home game versus Cincinnati. I think that's a chance for him to get some points both games. Cincinnati is not that pushover team that we expect to have him run the score up against them. But I just think it's a team that he can match up pretty well against, especially if Cucho is going to start one or both of those games. I feel like Columbus is about to turn it around, and I'm going to get in as early as I can on the Zella train, because when he's on and has some support, he's one of the best players in the league. With that, I also have Reynoso on the double home game, just a really nice matchup set with Sporting and DC. Don't think you can really avoid him this week. This spot would have been for Lucho until he was suspended. I've got Driussi in here now. It was tough to see where to go with these guys, but I've got Driussi starting for sure. Houston and Dallas. Dallas has been leaking a lot of goals lately against good offenses, so I think this is a week where you can take them. And then my fifth midfield spot, I had a little bit of a budget crisis until I started changing some things. So I was bouncing back and forth. I don't mind Fagundes in this one. I think that matchup set is good enough to double up on Austin's midfielders if one of them's a bench play. But a name that jumped out at me, and it is one of my draft names again, but he's had a great string of games recently, and that's Raveloson for LA. Or for the Galaxy. He's scored in several games, gotten some assists. He's playing San Jose and then at Colorado. That's not a bad slate of games for a guy like him. I do worry a little bit if he's going to go 180 or go much more than 120. He has had a little bit of rotation with that team, but he has just been playing so well lately and getting more and more involved. I want to see if he's got it this week, so he's on my short list to watch and see what happens with lineups and see if there's rotation in that first game.
Andrew.
Yeah, I just want to follow up on what Blayne was just saying. I kind of like that LA shout there at the end. They have the last game on Wednesday, and so he might be a good option to start. And if you need a player to scrub out, there's your candidate right there. So if you have one of those early players from Atlanta or RSL or wherever that hit, like if your bench does well, that can be your option to scrub out if you need it. My picks, I think it's going to be fairly chalky for Reynoso, Mukhtar, and Driussi. I think those three guys are going to be, 99% of the teams. Everybody's going to pick them. I'm going with Montero from San Jose. I have a thing where I really like to pick the best player from bad teams just because so much tends to go through them. Kind of like with Reynoso, there's nobody else really on that team that I trust to kind of advance the ball, create chances either for themselves or for teammates. If they're on set pieces, that's great as well. So looking kind of in that same mold, Shaqiri potentially for Chicago might find his way into my team. If not him, then I'll probably end up going with Zelarayan.
Yeah, again, I agree with that. Mukhtar, Driussi, Reynoso. I also do have Zella right here. Some of that is the big Hell's Real Derby coming up this week, and then wanting to see what he can play off of with a new competent forward option that he should have right there. And then this last one, it's a bit more of a placeholder. I've got some extra cash, so I may upgrade to a bigger name after I see some more of the numbers that come out before probably Wednesday, because I don't need this for a Tuesday game. But I've got Nwobodo right now on my bench with Acosta out and some of that, and Cruz also unavailable. Then I don't know. There could be some more defensive posture at that first game, especially since it's going to be that it's at home, so you want to try to win. But at the Hell's Real Derby, you want to make sure you represent well for that. And this was this last round was, I think, the lowest round, or one of the lowest rounds that Nwobodo has had since he's come in. He's usually hitting at 5 or 6 with bonus points per round, and so looking at maybe potentially your 10 or 12 point defensive midfielder for the double game week. Not too bad. So I put him there. I may keep him just for fun, because I usually am very anti defensive midfielders, but we do tend to look at them more with the double games, and Cincinnati's got a decent one. After having all of the defensive midfielders, we finally have a decent one, and so I may go with it. But this is a double game week, and it is a good opportunity to also say this is when a double game week defensive midfielder can pay off. It's always that more reliable floor that you're going to be looking for. You miss out that boom or bust, so have the guys who come in and get the goal and a hat trick, or the guys who are getting the assists and the bonus points that could easily just jump up there and beat them. But this is some of the more reliable points that you're looking for, and you never know. We've talked about some of these potential cards and impacts to teams and rotations. Maybe it's a reliable defensive midfielder that you want for that 5th spot, likely your bench spot right here, just to see how that's going to go. All right, moving over there. Yeah, see other people looking at Shaqiri. What is it about Chicago that is interesting you now, Andrew, after some of their lackluster start?
Mostly 2 home games. I know this last week he didn't have as much set piece duty as he has leading up to it. But, he typically takes a few set pieces within the game and just kind of that bonus point chance creation potential.
If we haven't already said it this year, or haven't said it enough this year, home game advantage is real in MLS. Very, very real statistically for MLS, more than some of the other leagues. And so, yeah, that means a lot, having those 2 home games. So I definitely understand that. Let's move on to our forward picks. Andrew.
Man, I have been going back and forth on forwards. I don't think I've had a single one that's stuck for more than about 2 hours since I started tinkering this morning. Right now, I'm on Ferreira from Dallas. I've got Vasquez from Cincinnati, and then potentially looking at Wobese from San Jose. My brain is really thinking about Yosef. Got to go with Martinez, mostly for that high variance pick for the bench. Potentially could go that way if I do end up wanting to go Stuver as my keeper. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of anybody. Nobody's really catching my eye.
Blayne.
Interesting, because I didn't have trouble with this. I actually want more forwards. I wish I could get rid of my fifth midfield spot for another forward this week.
Blasphemy.
I'm that player. You know that. I love the 3-4-3. But no, Savarino's in my starting lineup. Just Atlanta's not playing well. He's looked so good, and then it's Sporting again, and I think they can exploit it. He's come in and he's taken over a lot of the playmaking duties. He's involved in almost everything right now, and until he cools off, it's going to be hard to avoid taking him. His average in these few games is 8. It's hard to turn down a forward with an 8 average when he's not cooling off any at all. So he's my starting one, and I've got 2 guys on the bench, like I generally do for this. It's one mid, 2 forwards as my bench play. I am gonna try to risk it with Cucho Hernandez for Columbus. I like these games. I like Zella a lot. I just think he brings a needed dynamic to this team. And I've always kind of ridden the Columbus hype train.
I was just about to say, is there a single Columbus forward that you don't like?
I liked Ola Kamara when he was there. I'm a diehard Zardes fan, which I wish Colorado was better for him. But one of the things that made Zardes so good was the system he was playing in there in Columbus. And if Cucho's anything like that, if he can get on the end of some of these balls, that system will feed him. And so I think he's just going to slot in and kind of fill that gap that Zardes left this year. And I don't know why Zardes wasn't playing to start the year. I have not figured out what was going on in Columbus. But if Cucho's the answer for that, I want to get in on it quickly. Because while everybody else may be struggling to take him, I think this is a chance for me to grab some points and make up some ground on the field if they don't go with him. And I expect big things. And then my other one that I've got in there right now is I've got Ebobisse. I like the LA game on the road and then home to Houston. He's been playing well. His average is there. They're scoring. Kind of like you said, Andrew, it's nice to take the best player on a bad team. Nobody else is scoring goals for them. Nobody else is shooting as much as he is. If Montiero's setting up like he can be, and he has been doing lately, I looked him up a minute ago. His assist numbers recently have been climbing. He's averaging about 2 every 3 games. That bodes well for Ebobisse in these games. I just think this is a week you could easily slot him in and take him. And then Chat's mentioned him. It's a double away, and I don't know what the rotation's going to be with injuries. But Tallis Magno for New York City was the 4th guy I want. If I could get rid of Raveloson and take Magno on the bench, I would in a heartbeat this week. It's a double away. It's Dallas and Red Bulls. Those are games where you see fireworks. I don't trust the Dallas defense right now. And then anytime you get a Hudson River game, anything can happen. And with Tati missing the first game, I think Magno's the guy who steps up and gets the bulk of those points. And so I want that 4th spot for him. I don't like him over the other 3 at the moment just because it's a double road game. But those are the 4 guys I'm really bouncing between. And depending on what happens with lineups, especially seeing that Columbus game, if Cucho doesn't start that first game, I will probably roll back to Magno in the second game for sure.
So plus he's just so exciting. Like just watching him, like that's enough reason to take him on my fantasy team. Is just a good reason to watch him play. He's so fun to watch.
That whole team has just been fun to watch.
I'm not going to disagree. not going to disagree. So no, I agree with Andrew. I've found it a little bit rough picking forwards because there are a few that I keep kind of bouncing back and forth between that and that midfield guy. I'm still a midfield guy. I like the Vasquez pick. I like Savarino. I like the Bobasi pick. Somebody else who I think we have to mention because of the performance last week is Carranza. Got the hat trick. Got the key pass. Got 9 shots. All kinds of bonus point production right there. Going into a round where he's going up against Miami, which was horrible at the beginning. They've not been winning like they want to, but they've not been giving up a lot of goals as of the past few games. One that I don't know if they've given up more than 2 over the last few games they've had. But also New England, which has some changes on the back line as well there. Is that just bandwagon, or is that something you could see a way for Philadelphia going into this away and home double game week, guys? Whoever wants to start.
Honestly, I just don't really like what Philadelphia is doing in attack. Aside from this last game against DC, I know they lit it up and absolutely smashed them. But generally, like, their attack just feels disjointed to me. Like they're not creating in a high probability way. That said, there was an absolutely ridiculous little cutback through ball this last weekend that was just phenomenal from I think it was Gazdag that hit it, and it was just so if they can get that, man, no telling where they can go.
Blayne.
Yeah, I answered this in chat about Gazdag because we got one in the midfielder section. Just anybody interested in him. I feel like I got lucky last week. I took Gazdag for 11. I mean, anybody who took Carranza and got the hat trick or whatever. I think you got your points. Don't gamble on the same card twice. You got your points. Who knows what's going to happen this next time? I don't trust the attack, just like Andrew said. They're so streaky. I've taken Gazdag 5 or 6 times this year. This is the first time I've hit double digits with him. Like, I got my win. I took him on a week when most people didn't. I got a few extra points out of it compared to everybody else, and I'm happy. Like, I'm not going to risk that again when I see other names that I like better, other names that are more trustworthy, more consistent for me. And as we always say, you never chase a hat trick. If the guy got a hat trick, you don't really want him for the following game. It has to be a special player and a special matchup. Giovinco back in the day, Vela in his MVP season. He would do that. You would take him the next game because he was doing that or on the verge of doing that every game. Carranza's a guy who's done it once this year, and he's struggled to find goals the rest of the year. I can't point chase like that on a team that I just don't trust and I haven't had good luck with all season long.
All right.
Plus, there is some rotation risk. I mean, Carranza, Uri, and then Corey Burke likes to start those games for the double game weeks. So he gets a lot of run out for these. So you never know who's going to play and how long and what's going to happen there.
Have to mention it after that monster round. Have to mention it. All right, let's wrap everything up with our captain picks. Andrew.
Before we move on to that, chat's saying that Carranza's on loan from Miami, so probably won't be able to play against them. That might scrub the entire idea. I don't know.
Good catch, chat. Yeah. We'll find out.
Thank you, chat. As far as captain picks, it's like I said, best guy on a bad team. He's got 2 home games. He's got by far and away the most dribbles in the entire league. Got to go with Reynoso.
Blayne?
As much as I don't want to, I have to agree. It's Reynoso. Mukhtar is the only other guy I could legitimately see being a candidate, just because he's got that double home. He's got a decent floor. His average is right up there. But I think on this one, you want the top end, and Reynoso's got the better top end from everything we've seen this season. Mukhtar has been so streaky. I expect kind of a middling point game and then one good game out of him. I can see Reynoso going off on both of these games.
Yeah, I agree. It's also Reynoso, but I do have some of that worry as well because we've seen those 2-point games from Reynoso as well. So, I mean, he could follow up these double digits with a 6 and a 2 and just be disappointed. So I'm a little worried because I feel like it's going to be some of that that like commentators curse being like, yes, all in, Reynoso, 4 points total. But no, I think for what you said, Blayne, to get a little bit of that out of the way, that he's got the best potential, especially if DC is still a dumpster fire by the time it gets to them, see what Rooney can do. I mean, there's always a rebuilding element. Sometimes a new coach just comes in there and moves him into shape, and there it goes. But who knows after that big beating? It's just, who knows what's going to happen with DC. But that's something we're kind of, I'm hoping for, is there's some opportunities there. And I mean, Blayne, you can talk about Sporting better than the rest of us. So I too am on Reynoso. Chat, we've got Reynoso captains, Mukhtar captains. So yeah, I think those will definitely be the top two. Interesting to see who the third option will be. Maybe it's going to be Severino or somebody. But yeah, I think Mukhtar and Reynoso by far the runaway captains for that. Let's see here, anybody else? Tyler is debating Zella Ryan. Maybe. You never know. Hell is Real Derby. Could find out what happens right there. Have to respect that the new forward option, so maybe that will open up some for Zella. Interesting to find out. I will not be there. I'd like to try to make Cincinnati Hell is Real Derby games now. So I did the Columbus one, so that was enough. I got a cup, and then they wouldn't let me leave because they thought we were going to fight people. I don't know.
I'm disappointed in chat though. Nobody's saying Wagner for captain. After we had one last week and he goes off for 18 points. I mean, it's just Wagner for captain's been out there every week in chat. I just miss seeing it.
I want to know if somebody did.
Just bold. He's on the yellow card watch.
He's on the accumulation. I guess that's it. But I just miss seeing it in chat.
Blayne just wants it. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for listening to us tonight. Let's wrap everything up, as we do, as always, with our plugs. Blayne.
I kind of did my plug earlier. Discord and the Mega Reference team, they're just such a good service. There's so much information there, especially on a week like this with yellow cards, with injuries, with needing reliable scrubs that are not going to play. If you're not part of the community and you're still listening to us, what's wrong? Like, why aren't you over there talking to us? At least be a lurker and just read up on what's going on. It's just such a fun community. And if you read up for a couple of days, you're going to want to talk because there's always some ridiculous take coming into that we just have fun poking fun at people for, just different little things and the debates that show up. So yeah, just if you're not part of Discord, please go join the Discord. It's so much fun over there.
Andrew.
I just want to give a shout out to Skylar. He's the main contact for all of us, and I know personally how needy we all are with getting all the fixes in and new players in there. So just thank you to Skylar for the hard work.
Oh, that was nice. We don't shout out Skylar enough. He does do a lot of hard work there with a lot of the scaling back that's happened at MLS. He's really stepped up and a great ambassador for the community. So yes, a good shout out for Skylar. I will give the shout out to Ashley and Spencer. Happy anniversary. Glad you guys are out having fun with that. You definitely deserve it, especially after the hard work you did picking up for me and Blayne the other week. And of course, again, yes, Discord, check that out, MLSFantasyBoss.com. We'll have this podcast up there as well. We'll have Tyler's differential articles. Because of the timing, I probably will again not be able to get some of the other articles up, but I'm trying. The schedule's crazy. I guess this is the one good thing about Apple getting involved next year with our set schedule. That will be nice. More to come on that later. But check all those projects out. You can check out the Patreon as well if you want to look at how to become a supporter of this podcast. Patreon.com/MLSFI. And just check out all of our projects and see how you can just join our ever-growing community, Discord, Boss, Patreon. It's fantastic. And as always, good luck.